What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got a legitimately amazing duel for you guys to check out. Just actually went ahead and rewatched this one just so I could kind of soak up all the awesomeness. It's going to be a pretty epic comeback if I don't say so myself. And I think that this is a pretty difficult matchup on paper between Cyframes and True Draco, specifically for the Cyframe player. Just because, I don't know, man, things like Anti-Spell Fragrance, if a True Draco player flips that up turn 1, it kind of inhibits your ability to get the circuit on the field. And without circuit, I don't know, man, Cyframes don't have the ability to like synchro summon relatively quickly, and it can just kind of be a really troublesome matchup. But there is one card in this deck that is a great equalizer against True Draco, and it is going to do wonders in this duel. Don't give up on duels, guys. I mean, I do, but you guys probably shouldn't. But anyways, let's see exactly how this is going to play out. I believe that, let's see, yeah, it looks like Cyframes are up first. Cyframes generally want to go second because, you know, the whole deck is like hand traps and whatnot, but I guess getting circuit set up is never that bad. Diagram is going to be hit with Ghost Ogre, but unfortunately he has a second copy of Diagram, which that was kind of just, you know, it was a little troll there. He is going to go Cyframe Overload, which is that card that can absolutely turn this duel around, and he's going to chain it trying to banish the copy of Diagram, giving up a card from his hand. Unfortunately, his opponent is going to be able to get to a third copy off of the terraforming that he gets from Duality, so he gets all 3 Diagrams in a single turn. I guess he's just not stopping Diagram this turn. Now, this was really lucky of him, right? Here's what's going to happen. So, I believe that Heritage was tribute summoned for the Majesty's Maiden, and then what he did was he activates Alpha. Alpha is then going to try, well, Alpha activates its effect, and then Majesty's Maiden is going to chain off of that. I believe he's going to chain the face down card as well as the Metaverse, and look at this fancy chain. So, this means he's going to be able to get the circuit on board. He is going to be able to synchro summon since it is already on board during his opponent's turn. That means he's going to get a Zeta. Now, there was no battle phase there. What I think is, because I was like, wait, why wouldn't you just attack over the Cyframe Zeta? I'm thinking that the True Draco player realizes Zeta is not the card that you want to have on field in this matchup, because True Draco are not really going to special summon any monsters, so you don't want Zeta in this matchup. Maybe against like Lightsworn or something like that. So I think the True Draco player realizes, if I can keep this on the field, you're never going to be able to summon Omega. So what the Cyframe player does, and maybe this is desperate, he's actually just going to attack straight into it. Although he is going to do a search first of the Cyframe Overload in the graveyard. That's another reason why that card is so ridiculous. I believe the Monarch's Erupt was activated as well, so then, you know, all these Cyframe monsters are not going to have any effects on field, which really only applies to the Synchro monsters. And let's see if Cyframes can dig themselves out of this hole that the deck is in. He is going to go Drowning Mirror Force on the attack from Majesty's Maiden, and that is cool because it gets the Monarch's Erupt off field because he no longer controls a tribute monster. So that was not technically a 1-for-1. That was actually a +1 exchange there with the copy of Drowning Mirror Force, and I'll definitely say that's worth. Both players look like they're kind of stalling out here, but True Draco, if you have continuous traps, you always have the ability. Now watch this play. He is once again going to synchro summon during his opponent's turn off of that Cyframe Alpha, but he is not going to a Cyframe monster this time. He's just going to go nuke the board, Black Rose Dragon. Now unfortunately, he is able to get True King's Return to his hand. Good thing he didn't set that on the field. It would have just died, but I think that right now, you look at this duel and you think, okay, looks like True Draco are actually in the underdog position. You know, this guy at the bottom, Cyframes, has 4 cards. True Draco only has 1. Black Rose Dragon putting in some work, but he is able to get that Dynamite Knuckle right back. And these are not exactly cards that are going to be good right now, because he's not going to activate Dynamite Knuckle's effect because it was, you know, it was special summon. It wasn't tribute summon. And now he keeps top decking copies of Ash Blossom. Not one. He's going to get another copy of Ash Blossom too as soon as his draw phase. And I was like, oh my God, this is the throw of the century. He's up an advantage, but he can't come back and win. When a player has to start setting Ash Blossom on the field, you know they're in a really bad position. He's under Anti-Spell Fragrance, which really isn't that big of a deal, but he gets the Grand Mole and he's going to summon and he's going to attack with it. Now, that looks like it's a good thing, right? Because it kind of stops the bleeding. The problem is he can just kind of like tribute this, or he can tribute this, he can tribute this. Like, he can get that. He can tribute literally any card on the field and he can get this back. And when he does tribute, this is going to be live again. He has a copy of the Monarch's Erupt set. He didn't activate it because he didn't have a tributed monster. So this Grand Mole play might actually backfire. This is really tragic, but he is finally able to get a monster on board. His opponent activated a spell card. Now he's able to get Omega, but Omega's just gonna die, rip. So Omega is not really doing much at all. He just dies, and honestly, I looked at this point of the duel and I was like, all right, well, that's pretty much GG no Re. Even if you Grand Mole this again, he'll just tribute the Monarch's Erupt, he'll summon it, and he'll just attack you for game. This is GG no Re. This guy has 8,000 life points. He hasn't even touched his life points yet. This guy's at 400 playing, a pretty reactive deck in Cyframes. How exactly can he win? But you never give up hope. This is the card that is going to change this entire duel. Cyframe Overload, we saw it in the earlier turns, but now he's able to banish that Dynamite Knuckle, and guess what? He doesn't have any other monsters, and when he tries to activate Dynamite Knuckle's effect, he's gonna get smacked in the face by Gamma, and now he's able to synchro summon for Omega. And this duel is completely flipped because when he tries to activate Card of Demise, he Ash Blossoms it, and now look who is the only player who has a monster on board. Keep in mind that this Monarch's Erupt is gonna blow itself up because he doesn't have a Tribute Summon monster. This duel is completely changed, and he's gonna go ahead and get 2 more cards from Card D. He's the only one with a monster on board, and wouldn't you know, now he's the one getting screwed over by Anti-Spell Fragrance. He top decks Card of Demise, but he can't activate it because Anti-Spell says you gotta set that card on the field, son. This means that he's not only gonna not be able to use it, but he's gonna lose it. It's gonna get banished from the copy of Overload, and now this is kind of the play that Cyframes wants. Basically, like what you do is you constantly cycle. Where's his copy of Overload, right? So you constantly banish. Once you get Overload in the graveyard, or even if it's banished, it doesn't matter. What you do is you put it back in your graveyard with Omega, and then you banish it from the graveyard to search a new card. And basically every single turn that you have Omega and you have Overload either banished or in your grave, you basically get a free +1. And if you have Overload on the field, you can use that +1 search any monster. It doesn't matter what monster you get, you can just discard the monster and you can constantly banish cards on his opponent's side of the field. So now this is basically a lock, and he's gonna probably keep Anti-Spell Fragrance on the field because it's hurting his opponent more than it is him. At this point, he can just constantly banish. Like, granted, he's not really using the Overload, I don't know why, but he should be using it every turn just to make sure his opponent can't do anything, because you see he constantly is getting a free +1 every single turn. And now this is the final attack. His opponent tries to activate Apocalypse. He doesn't even want to deal with that. He's just going to banish it for Overload. And man, this card absolutely changed this duel because not only did it stop the game-ending attack, but then it allowed him to turn bad cards in his hand that he couldn't really use into basically spot removal. And then when he got the Omega on field, it was basically a wrap at that point. So yes, Cyframes are definitely a deck that are kind of slow to turn on, but when the deck gets snowballing, it is incredibly difficult to stop. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that short little Cyframe duel. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.